Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an Awards Watch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at Awards Watch, and joining me as always is my running mate, my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Ryan, call me an undecided voter.
Hell yeah.
I do not know what I think about this movie. I do not know what I think about primary colors, but I'm excited to have a debate and, convince me who I should vote for. Good, bad, mediocre.
Can I say something up at the top about undecided voters?
A lot.
Those don't exist. I think that those panels that they do on those television shows, like after the debate, when they've got like the 10 dum-dums that haven't decided who they're going to vote.
It depends what time.
No.
You're saying you know who you're going to vote for.
By the time we get to two candidates and they're sitting there post the first debate. No. Like maybe in the primaries, yeah. I can get that because you've got everybody in your little box and square.
I disagree with you here.
Well, that's what democracy is all about.
That's
right?
what democracy is all about.
But I just think that by the time you get to that debate and they've got the 10 ding-dongs in the back and they clearly watch a debate, it's like, no, they already know who they're going to vote for. They don't need this dog and pony show. It's stupid. It's a bunch of lie. It's television at that point.
Well, it is certainly now.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You go back and see those clips of that were going around, the Obama John McCain debate clips where it's like, oh, these guys were actually talking about stuff and had respect for one another. What a wild time that was.
And now they don't do that anymore.
They do not.
Well, we only even had one debate for this last presidential debate. We had one debate. Well, we had one debate with Biden and one debate with Harris.
And then the one with Harris, Trump got absolutely smoked.
And then he didn't. And he did. No, that's when she peaked. Because then he was like, I'm not going to debate her anymore. And then he started doing a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. We're here to talk about primary colors. A time in which maybe politics was simpler. Our country was simpler. We'll talk about it.
I don't know.
Were we simpler then than we were now? Jay, can you at least say that?
I don't know what simpler means. Like, this movie came out 3 weeks after the Monica Lewinsky stuff came out. So yeah, I would say that was fairly complicated.
But even all that stuff seems like a walk in the park compared to like what we deal with today on a day-to-day basis from the political sphere.
Fair.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Like,
it's pretty complicated.
I'm not saying it's like good. I'm just saying
it's not awesome what happened there.
No, it's not. But it is normal compared to now, I guess.
I don't know.
It's that's nothing compared to what I think we deal with.
Just like a normal horny guy.
Like if we just go back to a scandal like that, I would be okay with that.
But then there's also like severe exploitation going on.
Yes, exactly.
Corruption of power. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
It in many ways is like the Steve Martin, Meryl Streep movie.
It's complicated.
Yeah,
but even through this, a scandal like this, you could feel a sense that we as a country could survive it and move on. And now the events of today, there are moments where you're like, we are never going to be able to get past the stain of the dumbassery that's going on today.
We're going to be fine.
Wow, you being optimistic?
I mean, as opposed to like the country getting set on fire, yes.
I mean, technically,
democracy will survive the next 4 years.
Technically,
I am confident.
Some of the country was on fire earlier this year.
Well,
but that's not a political.
I mean, the whole thing about that, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, don't do it. But Jay, we're not alone here today. We have a third-party candidate joining us here today. I'm pretty excited to have our friend, film critic Ben Miller. Ben, welcome to Director Watch.
Welcome to the No Spin Zone.
I know you guys are a picker person, and I'm a picker person too. So I mean, we're all on the same page about this. I'm, I need to pull out my Ralph Nader shirt.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, we're going third party.
Yeah.
Gary Johnson, remember him?
Who's that?
The idiot Jill Stein.
There used to be a third party Texas governor candidate.
Kinky Friedman.
Kinky Friedman, man, he was just a nut.
He just passed
died,
away.
yeah, right.
He just passed away.
He was always the go-to of like, I was in college and I was like, I'm gonna throw my vote to Kinky Friedman, and it pissed off everybody who wanted to be pissed off about it.
Yeah, because it was like throwing away your vote. So that Greg Abbott could win again.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, boys. I mean, let's throw back to like you said, a simpler time of politics where smoking marijuana in the 60s could maybe disqualify you from being the president.
Yeah, I mean,
we're off to a hot start.
We know it.
Ben, do you believe in me or in Jay with the undecided voter?
I think I think I agree with you on a mostly. I agree with you, Ryan, as far as most people are.
Most people are made
decided. Mostly usually made up, but I think you're also underestimating just how stupid some people are.
That's fair.
And doesn't the flip in the popular vote from 2020 to 2024 prove the existence of undecided voters?
No, it just proves their disdain in the people in charge.
So you're saying
we're a fragile country at this point. We could flip easily right back in a couple of years. That's how dissatisfied we are.
Well, it really just depends on when you're talking about. If you're saying 1 week before the election, yeah,
that's
really.
No, I'm thinking the minute people once we are past the primaries and once we are past the convention.
I absolutely disagree with that.
I think people have made up their
mind.
You think
the second that the candidates are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I disagree.
Yeah, because inherently, I don't think that there is choice. I think people have made up their minds. I think that that's how we are built. I don't think, and especially given the candidates that we had that ran for president after the conventions.
Well, the gap has never been wider between the pairs of candidates now. So I agree with you there. Maybe in 2020, that basically didn't exist. But
back then, probably not.
Historically,
probably
absolutely has existed.
But I think our divide is very much there. I don't know. I get real cynical when I talk about politics.
Oh, right.
There's I know you're hashtag Mr. Cynical around here and everything. And
I've had many a fight at a dinner table.
I know, because you're probably the more cynical person around there, and people are like, just cheer up, God damn it, and vote for somebody.
No, I don't even think it's that. We're not going to get into it.
Oh, you don't want to talk about it?
I threw my family under the bus enough last episode. We're not gonna do that again.
I've gotten really good at biting a hole through my tongue around my family, like around any members of my family.
It's like a piercing.
At this point, I mean, any potential political discussion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm right. I'm going to be outvoted 10-1, so I don't even start. And do
you guys ever do the thing sometimes too, where you're just like, I really don't want to fight them, so I'm just going to feed them the bullshit that they want to hear, even though I do not believe a single word, or maybe it comes out very sarcastic out of your mouth.
Very rarely.
Yeah. Or you just walk away. I used to do that a lot when I was a kid.
I just argue. I like arguing.
I'd rather walk away.
It's one of my favorite things.
Oh, so you're the shit stirrer around your family during the fucking 100% holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who are you usually fighting, Jay?
My mother.
Oh, well, yeah. It is always the elder generation versus the younger generation.
I hear the words Tucker Carlson is well intentioned, and I unsheath my sword.
Is it like when MacGruber gets mad and like rings of fire spring through his eyes? Is it kind of like that?
No, it's not even like that. It's like, you've entered the dojo. You don't understand that you're fighting a master right now.
Oh, so it's like kind of like the Matrix in the training scene.
I know kung fu.
I know kung fu. Show me. And this is all over who also gets the turkey.
And then we get in a debate, and I say, "Quit trying to hit me and hit me."
It gets really violent at your house.
That is.
But you don't do
great lines.
Wait, you don't do turkey though. You do steak, right?
I mean, we go back and forth. Turkey is definitely a part of the meal a lot of the time, but we have more leftover turkey than anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know because people don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Ben, do you do the turkey at Thanksgiving?
Yes, it was.
Where you're having these political discussions. I'm trying to tell the listeners a little bit also that's how we got to this rabbit hole. Anyway, Ben.
No, I'm always a turkey guy. Always been a turkey.
How do you make it?
Turkey family. It's always, my mom has always roasted it in the oven. It's
Ooh.
Always really well prepped. My mom was kind of this old school lady as far as like kitchen prep, so it's always been really good. The only problem is now I'm the senior guy in my family, so that means I have to cut the turkey, which sucks. Nobody told me that's not like a badge of honor. I hate it. It sucks.
Jay, do you cut the turkey at your house?
No, absolutely not.
You don't get to you don't get to cut it?
Well, I don't. I've never been the prepper of any sort of Thanksgiving. Maybe I've cut the turkey with my family, but I don't consider it to be. It's not memorable enough for me to have a memory of. So I don't know.
Well, we deep fry the turkey, and or we'll smoke it.
That's how fires start.
We do it outside in the yard. We don't do it like a bunch of bumpkins in like a garage. That's dumb.
Grass fires start.
Yeah, you can't start fires outside. That's a fair point.
Yeah, thank you very much. We've done it for like 25 years. We've never burned anything down. And you also don't do it frozen like some idiots
and
do
I'm proud
as well
of you.
too. Thank you, buddy. Why don't you like give me a little bit of encouragement over here? We've been doing this a long time. I really would appreciate if you like had my back on this.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And your basketball team made a good trade. Like you've got everything going.
I'm doing really well right now.
Yeah, like you'll be okay, man.
My college football team's really good. I mean, you've got the number one team in the country right now as we're talking.
Yeah, we're
in college basketball.
College b-ball treating me right this year.
You're a college basketball school, buddy.
Yeah, people love it when we talk sports on this show.
Yeah, they really do. We're talking like everything. We're like, you know what we're talking about right now, Jay? We're talking about the melting pot of America, and nothing better than the melting pot of America than to talk about primary colors, which is exactly how we got to here. Mm-hmm. Get it all the way back around.
We really took the scenic route, but we're back, baby.
Well, that's what you want to do. You want to go through those misty mountains and,
Purple Mountains Majesty.
Exactly.
Misty Mountains. Isn't that the name of the adult film star in Nice Guys?
No. I was doing a lyric from the John Denver song "Take Me on Country Road," and you took it down the most inappropriate way you could.
I think that's her name, though, isn't it?
I mean, I'm not gonna look this up.
I never made that connection that's where the name came from, but I'm
sure. Okay,
that was it is Misty Mountains. Yes.
Oh, for good God, damn it, Ben! Don't help him. She's probably been involved maybe with a political person. I don't know.
No, it's a character in a movie, to be clear.
All right. Okay.
She dies in the opening scene.
Of which movie?
The Nice Guys.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I thought you were like literally pulling out a porn star here. I'm like, I don't need to know.
No.
Literally about your...
Ryan, how on earth would I know that?
I don't know, buddy. Inside this podcast is where I get to know you the most. Outside of this, I mean, you could be like a politician. I might have to discover things.
That's true.
Left and right about you that are very unpleasant.
Some negative research.
Yeah. You know who I get to dig up a lot of dirt?
Things.
Kathy Bates. She digs all the dirt.
No kidding. She's good at that.
Well, she's now Matlock. So literally that is her job. Have you guys watched Matlock?
Negative.
My mother loves it.
I was going to say, moms and dads love Matlock. They love that, and they love Blue Bloods.
Yes. The Tom Sellecks of the world just getting cash after cash, and it's like,
cash, man.
Who needs Tom Brady's alimony when you have Blue Bloods checks coming in?
There you go. Exactly. Who is that? Is that that was
Bridget Moynihan.
Bridget Moynihan. Yeah.
Kathy Bates is like Matlock.
Yeah, like it's a remake of Matlock, and she's
on
Matlock.
Which channel?
CBS.
CBS. Yes. Of course.
Yeah, come on, buddy. They're remaking all those shows. They got like
Madeline Matlock. By
Madeline Matlock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maddie Matlock.
There you go. Maddie Matlock. There you go. Sounds like the dumbest show ever, but it probably 40 million people watch it every week.
I don't know what you mean.
Ben
Bridges has a recurring role.
Ben.
Yes.
Thank you for coming here to this stupid show that we do every week.
It is my pleasure.
Mike Nichols, as a director for you, sir.
Yes.
When I asked you to come on this series, I asked you to do this one. But I got to get your thoughts on Nichols as a director overall. Maybe what you like about him, what you don't like about him, some of your favorite films from him, and what you admire about the guy overall.
Well, it's funny when I was thinking about it because you kind of, I was thinking of Nichols, and I never think of him in this way, but whenever you kind of break it down, he's kind of like the best case scenario of like a Martin Ritt or one of those kind of like anonymous directors who just direct cool things. He doesn't necessarily have like a staple of something he does. Like he does have like the films themselves are really awesome and really cool breakdowns of, character breakdowns or these kind of different stories, but it's not like he doesn't make a certain kind of movie. He does kind of all over the place. He doesn't have necessarily a thing he does, even though he has kind of gone back to the well a few times for various films. Um, it, it, he his his malleability as a director is kind of the feature about him that I like the most. He doesn't do a certain kind of film. He does like if you look at something like Silkwood or look at something like uh you know Carnal Knowledge, you see the two of those and you're like, it doesn't seem like the same director, even though you see comes through lines kind of on both sides, but it doesn't necessarily have the identity of, oh, this is definitely a Mike Nichols thing from here and here. I think that's much more of a feature than it is like a negative. Um, and I was listening to your Carnal Knowledge episode with Andrew Carden. He brought up the fact that the way he's able to pull performances out of these actors, in a way that other directors probably just wouldn't. That and the he might do ensembles better than anybody else. Like even if he focuses on a specific character, he'll always fill out the edges with life and character that otherwise people wouldn't, like certain roles will just kind of be like, this is a nothing part and they move on. These other people have a little more substance than you would ever expect them to have in these kind of roles. And especially with this movie, like he's really going back to the well as far as like him and Elaine May and them playing off each other and complimenting what they do. Now that being said, I'm pretty sure I like this movie more than you guys. I don't think you guys are as enthusiastic about it as I am. But in general, it seems like he only makes really, really, really great movies or kind of like anonymous films that are kind of footnotes.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, we've kind of talked about some of those stumbles along the way to masterpieces or really great films. These movies that he kind of has to like warm up. Like he's like, you know what he is? He's like a really good he's a really good pitcher. You got to get like the pitcher to warm up in the bullpen. Maybe some of those first throws aren't great, but then you get him on the mound with something really passionate, and then and then he can deliver.
So you're saying like Day of the Dolphin was his first pitch in the bullpen, where you're like, oh, my arm's feeling a little loose
you got to
today.
loosen up a little bit. You know what I mean? And then he gets to Silkwood, and you're like, okay, all right, there's my guy. You know what I mean? But we'll have to see if Jay, because there's no movies in between this and the Birdcage.
No.
So
which I love.
Which, yeah, I know for prep reasons you love, right? You're like, I don't have to watch 16 movies and watch some of the junkier ones to get to the point. And Jay kind of mentioned this also too. Like this movie is very timely at the time of its release. Like Clinton, this is loosely inspired off of a book about Bill Clinton and sort of the rise of him becoming president. This is released 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after Jay the Monica Lewinsky.
After. It's right after. So when it came out, they were like, well, oh my God, like now this movie is tame.
Yeah. This is like, again, like what I said earlier, this is like nothing.
Fact has gone far beyond fiction.
Exactly. And so, but they still had a movie to release. It's still Mike Nichols and Elaine May. And so, Ben, you talked about liking this movie a lot. I brought you on because I was going through a lot of guests that we've had on before or new guests like yourself and trying to find somebody that liked this movie. And it was very hard to find people that were sort of genuinely positive on it. And I found your reaction to it. And I was like, oh, Ben's perfect for this. Because one, we've never had you on. We're glad we had you on, buddy.
Thank you.
But I want to hear a positive reaction to this movie and what you think of it, and like why this one particular in Nichols's filmography, this time for May, but also this movie, why it works for you.
So it just feels like a world that I don't want to have any direct part of personally, but I like watching as a bystander. Like I don't want to be any part of a political campaign. I don't want. No, I am positive. I do not want to be a speechwriter, a spin master. I don't want to be. I don't want to be in a situation where Billy Bob Thornton could pull his dick out at any moment. I don't want that to be the case. Like I want to be.
Sounds like Sling Blade.
That is a wild moment.
Yeah,
it really is. Like,
was that ad-libbed? Because they're really particular about sticking to the scripts with these movies. So
the funny thing is right after that, Henry comes in and makes an Anita Hill reference, so it sounds like that's on purpose.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. That would, but it's one of those things that I see it as. This is one of the few, like, I don't think people realize how big of a deal the book was. The book was a big friggin' deal in the 90s. My grandmother, who was as Republican as they come, had the book and ate it up, like loved the book and all this kind of stuff. Hated Clinton as a person, but cared about the kind of the drama and everything having to do with it. And then you see this, and it's so wild to watch as kind of an artifact, as was like, man, Clintons and the Clintons and everything around them and all the people who have become famous that you're like, oh, well, there's James Carville, there's Black George Stephanopoulos, and there's obviously Hillary and Bill and all these. You kind of look at these political commentators like the Cuomos somehow being involved and all these kind of things.
Very thinly veiled.
Very thinly veiled, yeah. And you see these things and you're like, well, this is like, it hasn't aged very badly. It's just kind of a weird, like, monument to the early 90s and the ins and outs and all these kind of things. It's such an interest. I find it fascinating as I don't look at it as like super high art. I find it like really awesome trash. Kind of like this is 1998's version of Conclave. Like this is a movie. This is a movie that can be taken very, like, people can get themselves too little locked in as far as like, oh, this is this and this. And it's like, this is, again, an airport novel. This is a novel that it's junky, it's ridiculous, but everybody's kind of overqualified for what they're doing. Like, Emma Thompson doing Hillary Clinton is excellent. And these kind of, and like having these things like that, and Billy Bob and Kathy Bates chewing scenery and really overly ornate Krispy Kreme in the middle of a parking lot. Like,
yeah, so well lit. Looks like a Michael Mann movie.
Those fritters look great, by the way.
They really do. And then you know the most on the nose needle drops in the history of needle drops, just but at the same time, like it's just a world I like to watch, and I find it very rewatchable. I've probably seen it 3, 4, 5 times. It was on TV a lot whenever I was in high school, and it was easy to pop in, like, oh, here comes the Tony Shalhoub scene, and kind of leading into that, and then so coming up is the part where, you know, the lady from the Black Advocate shows up in that conversation. Like, I just remember the little bits and pieces. It's a good jump in movie.
And who else would Tony Shalhoub play other than Eddie Reyes?
the eternally multicultural Tony Shalhoub.
Yes,
the man has played every possible ethnicity at this
point. He really has. He really has. What was it that he was in this one Denzel Washington movie I watched last year?
The Siege.
Siege. Yes. And I was like, man, Tony Shalhoub has played. He's like Hank Azaria. Unreal. He's played every single ethnicity, because hiring somebody of that ethnic descent was so hard in the 90s that they just were like, any white guy with a tan, we can just plug and pull in right here.
Tony Shalhoub is married to Brooke Adams.
Really?
Good for Tony Shalhoub.
They have been for 32 years.
You know what? Good for you, Monk. All right.
Get those monk checks. That's right.
Man, those monk checks have got to be huge.
Loaded. Yeah.
That dude's huge, like loaded, man. Like he's doesn't have to work another day in his life.
But he just decides to go do Miss Maisel and probably gets great checks off of those too. So.
Because it's Amazon and they pay. Amazon literally is the worst studio. They pay so much money for these shows and movies, pay everybody fairly, and then nobody sees them. Nobody watches any of them. But anyway, Jay.
I'm trying to see if they maybe met on a movie.
Oh, well, do you want to maybe pause that and give your thoughts on Primary Colors? So this was a first-time watch?
Yeah. This was a first-time watch for sure. Just kind of some background on the movie, like Ben was saying. Huge book, written under a pseudonym. Nobody knew who the author was for a very long time. The bidding war for the rights to it to make a movie were insane. Nichols apparently paid $1.5 million out of his own pocket for the rights to the movie, and then Universal bought it for 8.5. So great job, Mike. Very, very good investment. That's a nice ROI.
Well, Mike Nichols, he loves money.
That man loves money, and he's very paranoid about money.
And so he was probably like, I can't believe I bought this movie. I can't believe it. I can't believe that this is too much. And then he's like, whew, I got a good chunk of change out of this.
But when it was first bought by Universal, they almost backed out when the original lead left. Do you know who the original lead was?
I do.
Oh, I don't.
The star of another big movie from 1998, excuse me.
Yeah, and he did that movie instead. Ryan, what's a big movie from 1998?
I mean, like
It's made by one of the most successful directors of all time.
I mean, Steven Spielberg, right?
It won Oscars.
Tommy Hanks?
Tom Hanks was signed up for this movie, and then he backed out.
He would have played this character now because he's in his like biopic era. Tommy Hanks.
A little bit. It was supposed to be Hanks, Nicholson, and John Malkovich were going to be the three leads. So and then when Hanks left, Nicholson and Malkovich left as well. Who Nicholson and Malkovich were playing, I do not know.
I gotta imagine Malkovich is playing the Thornton role, but
I guess, but he's
Nicholson is already Picker.
Yeah, no, he's Emma Thompson's character.
Yeah, he was playing Hillary. That's probably right. But what Hank said about the movie was it's too close to real life. Like it will overshadow the character. It kind of overshadows the whole movie. And
20 years later, we get Vice. So,
yeah, but Hanks isn't in that either.
Yeah, I know, but it's like these movies. It's so funny how they're like, oh, that's too close. It's too similar. It's too much. And it's like, yeah, okay, buddy. Like, but then a couple of decades later, he's literally playing Ben Bradley on a spot-on movie about the president of the United States, what's going on now versus what happened with Nixon, and literally doing a prequel to All the President's Men. And then, you know what I mean? And Vice is happening, and we live in Trump's world, and we now have The Apprentice, for Christ's sake.
Apprentice, one of the most embarrassing things that's happened.
Don't forget W.
W exists.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's very much like this. Like from the minds of that studio, they were like, well, Primary Colors did well, so let's get W going. And they gave it
okay.
It did okay. It didn't make its money back.
But they give it to Oliver Stone to do W, which I mean,
yikes,
Jesus Christ.
What do you mean? Oliver Stone's killing it to this day.
Yeah, you would go and hang out with him and talk politics.
Seems like a cool guy. Saw him on Rogan, bro.
I
think he actually did do Rogan.
I'm gonna be controversial here. Oliver Stone needs cocaine. He works better under cocaine.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's true of so many artists. Like Eminem. Eminem was only great when he was on drugs, and I'm glad he's clean.
I'm glad they're all clean.
But his art suffered as a result.
That's what makes Scorsese different than everybody else. He's able to have them good on both sides.
Yes, exactly.
The movies just have gotten really long.
They have gotten long, yes.
But they pack
his attention span has increased significantly.
Exactly. His stamina, weirdly enough, he's probably got he probably does like really good yoga in order to get
his daughter's keeping him young.
Yeah, they're doing the TikToks. You know
I was having this conversation with my wife because we watched Home for the Holidays, and Robert Downey Jr. is so high strung in that movie. I was like,
God.
he's got to be on something. He was on heroin.
Yeah.
Who is high strung on heroin? Apparently,
he's good in that
Downey
movie.
Jr. is. He's great in that movie.
I heard Brody went method for The Brutalist.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's always the joke. It's always the joke about like you never want to get Daniel Day-Lewis a job as a heroin addict because he definitely would start doing heroin.
Remember when Adrian Brody went method to introduce Sean Paul on?
No, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing this now.
Come on, Rasta man. You
know better than that. Man, Sophia's gonna come and kill you for bringing that up. God,
one of the wildest moments in pop culture history.
So is it even the top 10 wildest things that's ever happened on SNL?
I think absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you got the Pope ripping the Pope picture. That's absolutely
the Ashley Simpson thing's got to be up there.
Ashley Simpson, yeah.
I mean,
wasn't there like a live performance where there was violence, like where they were like breaking instruments and like people got injured?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure System of a Down got in a lot of trouble during their performance.
Yep.
Yes.
I think they just cussed a lot.
I know. Well, that was the other thing too. Like they've had cast members cuss, multiple times.
That's not as crazy
Charles
as Adrian Brody as Rasta Man.
Well, I mean, like there was the whole sketch, the infamous sketch with Chevy and Richard Pryor. That's like pretty much ad-libbed by Chevy Chase being a racist. So. While it is infamous, it is also deeply troubling, given like what we know about that. There's probably like a list out there, but like Brody's isn't as well known. The only one that brings it up is people that want Chalamet to win and Jay Ledbetter on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't care. I just think it's insane.
It's not great. We also lived in weird times. This was also like
probably going to be a 2-time Oscar winner.
Well, by the time this releases, we'll know that. So don't date this episode if we know or not.
I'm going Chalamet, man. I'm picking Chalamet.
You really want to plant your flag in something and it may not be true?
Look, I'm going to get all of these wrong. I've said Honora. I've said Chalamet.
Okay. What about makeup?
Oh, makeup's going to
Substance.
I'm trying to think of a funny thing to say that is going to be very clearly wrong. Yeah. I don't know. The Substance is probably right.
What about
that's the Amelia Perez Oscar? The makeup. That's
Jay.
That's the one.
What about Stooms?
Oh, Stooms. Stooms is going.
By the way, Ben, that's costumes. By the way, we just call it Stooms on here because
I don't even know what costumes is what's nominated.
You don't even know what's nominated this year for things.
Not really.
Who's winning director?
The big ones I know.
Who's winning director?
Director, it's going to be Corbet.
All right. Who's winning actress?
Corbet is going to get some sorbet in Celebration.
Oh my God. Who's winning actress?
Probably Demi Moore, I guess.
Right. Supporting actor?
Who is up for supporting actor? I can't remember.
Borisov, Culkin, Norton.
Oh, Culkin. Oh, yeah, Culkin. Obviously.
Pierce.
Yeah.
And who's the last one?
And then I still think...
Oh, Jeremy Strong.
I still think Saldana is going to pull out supporting actress.
That speech the other day helped. Yeah.
All right. Well,
we'll see.
Anyway,
primary colors.
Talk about another.
I know you guys are trying to beat around it. beat around the bush.
No, this is just the show.
This is just the show. You're just Ben. You listen to it. You know what this show can be. It's
true.
The ramblings of two men plus a guest.
Absolutely. But yeah, primary colors. I really am looking forward to talking about this movie because I'm so torn on it because I think there's a lot to really like about it, and then if there are things to dislike about it, I think there are really big things to dislike about it. I think Travolta is kind of terrible in this. And I think his decision to take on more of a Clinton persona was a very bad one.
It was a bad idea.
I think his instincts failed him in that particular instance. And I also think generally making it so closely tied to the Clinton experience, I think was a mistake. I think you could have established more broad themes, like universal themes, if you sort of made it less specific to a certain extent. There are a lot of things that aren't like one-to-one to the Clinton campaign that I think help it. But it does just have this in the back of your mind, you're always just like, well, how does this relate to Bill Clinton's primary running a campaign and stuff like that? And the Emma Thompson, you're like, this doesn't seem like the Hillary Clinton that we have come to know over the last 30 years at all. So there's a lot of that stuff that I think kind of overshadows the movie itself, which I think is unfortunate. And additionally, it is just so Mike Nichols, anytime he makes a really political movie, he's like a year too late, or in this case, months too late. With Catch-22, MASH came out the year before. With Biloxi Blues, Full Metal Jacket came out the year before and just like crushed it. And then here, it wasn't even necessarily a movie, but the Monica Lewinsky stuff happened like 2 months before this movie came out. And people obviously, when they were reviewing this movie, they couldn't help but bring that up. It was just front of mind for everybody at that point. And that's just crazy that it kept happening for him. But it is a movie that I appreciate a lot of things about this movie. I think it's I think it has a great momentum to it. I never think it's boring, even though it is long, probably too long. But there are performances I absolutely love in it. Bates and Billy Bob Thornton, to your point, Ben, they're just killing it. They're just at 11 and they're absolutely crushing it. And I think that lends to your idea of it being kind of this heightened, pulpy political movie, but it's always kind of anchored back down to the fact that this is sort of like that thing from the guy who actually became president. So it never can transcend that entirely for me. Whereas Conclave, it's like, this is pretty much totally made up.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it like pure pulp airport novel trash, which I don't love that movie either, but I like that element of it. So a real mixed bag for me, and we'll figure out where I stand over the course of this episode.
So for me, I'm kind of with Jay. I'm in the middle on this thing because I, on one hand, think it's a fascinating artifact, especially given everything we live through currently in 2025 with politics. It is a fascinating artifact to have a movie like this where the things in this movie, they do feel minor in comparisons to the corruption, the abuse of power that we face on a day-to-day basis, and the political landscape being as depletedly crushing on the soul of Americans, and the trusting of the system is at an all-time low. And even during this time, like, I wouldn't say things were at an all-time high, but I would say that post-Nixon, there were the 80s, and the Clinton era was, while considered policy-wise a good time for the country, this scandal rocked us going into what would then be the Bush era, which would be a very divided time that led to everything that we have faced now with Obama, Trump, Biden, and now Trump again. And the Clintons are a American institution based off of everything that's happened with Bill, and obviously what Hillary went through in her presidential run that has sort of led to the rise of Trump. And so it is very interesting to go back and watch Hollywood kind of look at essentially these heroes to the world at the time and examine them as very flawed individuals to the system, and that the system, while it can seem hopeful for everyone,
in a machine.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is a very interesting thing. But the other problem is that it does feel too close. It does feel too soon. It doesn't feel like the story is still ongoing at the time of this. And when the movie ends, it's like, okay, he sold us. Like, if you want to just play it as the story, the soul ends, he's president, probably nothing bad happens, he moves on. But to Jay's point, something literally happens 3 weeks before this movie comes out and rocks the entire political landscape and the rest of Bill Clinton's presidency and what he is known for, what he is still joked about for still to this day, which is not good at all, that it's been turned around as like, Bill's a horn dog. And it's like, no, that's
Ryan, you got a Clinton?
Not really. I think
you can. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I'll try it off mic maybe, and then I'll probably did not
put it in post.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to put it in post?
What'd you tell me to do, man?
What'd you tell me to do? Hillary.
Now are you doing an actual Bill Clinton, or are you doing Travolta as Clinton?
A little bit of both.
Oh man,
a little bit of both.
Yeah, Travolta's definitely not going like.
He's not going full.
Well, I mean, he's doing younger Clinton.
He's doing younger one. Yeah, I like an apple. I like an apple fritter.
See, mine's just kind of turning into a McConaughey.
Yeah, now it's getting a little McConaughey. See, you can't go. All right. Anyway, and just
I actually did have sexual relations with that woman, man.
With that woman. See, I always used to be able to get that part down. Woman, because he would like take woman and make it like nine words. Anyway,
the great thing about interns, man.
Oh my God!
Oh God!
Jesus Christ, Jay, stop. No, I think this about Travolta's not good in this movie. That's a problem.
We need to just litigate the
We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah.
Emma Thompson's. To your point, Jay. We know who Hillary Clinton is. We know who Bill Clinton is. So the idea of them playing archetypes or literally playing carbon copies of these people makes it very hard to detach yourself from a storyline like this. The other characters are far more interesting on paper, like Billy Bob and Kathy Bates. They're playing essentially anybody. Like they're playing nameless faces and figures. So like they could.
Well, they're doing Carville.
I mean, you can do
like
that.
Both doing James.
Yeah, but
Carville.
like Billy Bob's always sounded like that. So like he doesn't go full James Carville. You know what I mean? He doesn't go like full Southern, Louisiana accent. You know what I mean? And Kathy Bates is insane in this. But the real problem, I think, for Primary Colors, and this is going to make or break the movie for people, maybe like Ben or for Jay, is Adrian Lester's performance. You have to be sold through Henry's experience throughout the entirety of this movie. And I just don't think that I'm sold through the performance.
Oh, you don't think he's bringing the goods? I think he's kind of bringing the goods.
I don't think he's bringing the goods. That's not the make or
break for me, though.
I think it is. I think that you can get over the over-the-top performances from Thompson and Travolta and the crazy character actor work from Thornton and Bates. All these crazy characters. If the centering figure of this movie that everything is looked through, which is Henry, is committed and focused. And the movie I actually was thinking about, I wasn't thinking about Conclave. I was thinking a lot about the Clooney film from 2011. I was thinking about the Ides of March.
Yeah, I thought about this as well. And this was super contrived.
Yes, exactly. But that central performance from Gosling, surrounded by a ton of character actors, Giamatti and Jeffrey Wright and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Clooney and all these people, right?
That movie's junk, but
it is junk. But what carries it, and you're like, okay, this was fun or entertaining junk, and literally has almost the same plot for plot storyline to this movie. Is Gosling able to carry that movie, and Lester's just not able to get there all the way? I don't know if that's the writing. I don't know if that's the performance. I think a little bit of the writing, because this movie is like way too long and way too unfocused at times. And
it is a long movie.
It is a very long.
Is this maybe Nichols' longest movie?
It's got to be up there in terms of being a very, very long movie. And I can look that up, Jay, while
I got it. They have a letterbox sort by length.
Oh, they sort by length.
I got this.
I really hope it's Day of the Dolphin.
No,
I remember the Day of the Dolphin being kind of long, but we'll see.
The Birdcage isn't short.
Yeah, that's like 2:15, right?
No, Birdcage is
like 2
right
hours.
At 2. It's like right at 2. Yeah.
Well, is the next one like as Closer is pretty long, right?
Closer is 104.
Closer is short. Yeah,
104. I just remembered that.
All right, y'all keep talking. I'm gonna figure this out.
I think it's Charlie Wilson's War. That's only 100 minutes. Jeez.
Dang. Well, no, it's because it's a Sorkin. A Sorkin, his movies.
Primary Colors is the longest.
There you go. And that's the other thing too. In a world where Sorkin exists, I don't think Elaine May and Mike Nichols needed to make this at the time.
Well, it doesn't have the Elaine May trademarks that I think of.
It doesn't have her
extreme cynicism and disdain for systems.
Yeah, and I think that she's just a little bit wrong for the material on this one. I think that
is this movie funny at all?
No, this movie's not funny. This movie is slimy. This movie is a very slimy movie.
Bob and Kathy Bates can be funny,
but I think
even then you're kind of like, it's in the context of something that we need to take very seriously.
But it's very heavy-handed from the beginning, and like I think the thing about with Travolta playing Stanton here is like from the beginning of this, like you should kind of have built that he is this all shucks kind of guy from the beginning of this movie and made him not sympathetic, but made him funny, made him
performatively all shucks guy.
But then like literally,
I'm just like one of you, except I'm like a multi-millionaire.
15 minutes into the movie, you see the Allison Janney scene where like they're at the campaign room, and it's like, how does anyone not see this? Like this is literally in front of their face. It's not even like Allison they're hiding Janney anything.
Can't wear those heels.
No, but like she can't. But like no, it's just there's just so many things in this movie that kind of are just very head scratchy, and you know, it's a little bit too uncanny valley at times.
But then there's a scene where like Kathy Bates accosts Jack in the kitchen, and you're like, oh, here we go. Now we're
that entire scene is a fire.
But she's cooking left and right. Every scene, Kathy Bates is incredible in this, and that's kind of weirdly. Like should be the movie is like in like being more centered around somebody like that. I don't know. Like it feels like
the whole movie can't be about that character.
But it needs to be. I don't know, less more of a biopic and more of what Ben's talking about, which is feels like more campy, pulpy, you know, dime store novel trash. Because when it's trying to blend the line of fact and fiction, it doesn't do a good enough job, and you keep remembering that these are real events or what is real, and then you're taking your mind off of the damn story that's right in front of your face.
It's a movie that is trying to be quote unquote important to a certain extent, which I think is one of its great. It's one of its poor decisions that this movie makes.
It's kind of the problem. Like it's also kind of the problem with the book. Like the idea of the main character, like you said, is like Lester and his performance and Henry as a character, like he's based off of George Stephanopoulos, who is not black and not the son of a civil rights leader. And that is such an important character thing that just carries through the whole film about like, if he doesn't have his grandfather, is he even in the conversation? Like, it's one of those things that what gets you in the door and why do we care about this character other than, oh, he's apparently somebody, though we know nothing really about him. We don't get any sort of backstory. We don't really have anything to care about other than, oh, he threw up whenever he did this awful thing. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't really tell me much. Like
there's like half a plot thread with his girlfriend who disapproves of. Yeah,
there's so much going on. I mean, there's a lot of, there are those things like that. And you have like, Paul Guilfoyle's haircut, the really upsetting things in this film. Just his flat 90s old man bangs, and More Attorney not being in the film enough. Like she's delightful in every scene.
What are we doing with More Attorney? Like she should be in every movie.
She's so good in the Iron Claw.
She was so good. She was the best thing about
small role.
She was the best thing about Twisters. Honestly, straight up. Like
I remember nothing about that movie.
She like shows up and
I know she's in it. They go to her. She's like they all eat at like the picnic table or whatever. Right?
Yeah, it's like she's Daisy Edgar Jones's mom.
Yeah,
which I think they were gonna originally maybe make that Helen Hunt, and then like just didn't happen. And like they still, it's like they still tried to trick you into like maybe it's gonna happen, and then it's not. It's More Attorney, and everybody in the theater kind of went like when I watched it, but I was like, oh shit, it's More Attorney. Like I'll never say wrong to that. Like she's awesome in everything.
Well, she's got that sweet ER money, just like she's sitting there like Shaloub. So she just doesn't have to work, but I mean, she gets to do whatever she wants.
She's great in Iron Claw. She's
that movie, man. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I'm like the #1 Iron Claw stan.
Well, I have conflicted feelings. For one, that was the first day I actually saw Ryan in person. So,
Yeah, Ben and I were at
like that's
big
like
big day,
sad.
big day for me. But
so you were already in a bad mood going into it.
Well, and I had personal stuff going on, and that movie did not help. So I mean,
Jesus, Jay.
I went home in a daze. No, it's no, not at all.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, like, just saying that. No, again, Jay, we're a team here, buddy. Like, we're on the same side.
If we don't make fun of each other, the show will crumble.
That's true.
My biggest surprise from meeting Ryan was how tall he was. I was
really?
For some reason I was expecting him.
I'm a
to be
fucking
shorter.
giant.
He's a big small.
I don't even know
how tall.
How tall are you, Ryan?
I'm 6'1", but Jay's like 6'4".
Okay.
I'm
6'2". I
You're
tower
6'3"?
foot, so,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were like 6'3", 6'4", buddy.
No. Just in like presence.
Oh.
Well,
yeah. All
but
right.
I mean, like, but every time, like, you see more attorney in here, and every time she's in it, you're like, man, she's great. And then all of a sudden, she's like just gone from the campaign, and you're just like,
half these characters
why?
are.
And even that thread should be explored more to make it more interesting. Like the really probably one of Billy Bob's best scenes where he's actually more subdued is when he's saying goodbye, like he's leaving, and it's like, yeah, this guy was worth it. And it'll be the next thing, see you on the next thing, and all this. Like, it's actually one of the few times like he's like, oh, this is a normal kind of nicer. I like this guy.
It's literally how they do it in Nights of March with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'll see you down the road. Next thing,
yeah.
You're in control now. You don't need me anymore. And you're just like, okay, like these movies are great to have character actors that can just come in for 3 or 4 scenes and knock shit out of the park.
Larry Hagman.
Yes.
Great in this movie.
Great.
Yes.
Greatest picker. Like, straight up also extremely manipulative in his own right.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And lying about himself. And the movie, I think, does raise interesting questions about, like, which is a lie that the American people can stomach. And that scene at the dinner table that you're talking about, Jay, with Bates, where they have the information, they have everything they need to, like, take down Picker. And it's this idea of, like, Bates playing this gun-touting lesbian
the best line in the movie is, I'm a lesbian. I do not mythologize the male reproductive organ.
Exactly. And having to feel her conflict about having to essentially use this information to tear down someone who is hiding their identity. And Emma Thompson and Travolta, maybe this is the closest you get to a Hillary Bill situation, is they would totally use it. And it would, whatever you think about it, Republican, Democrat, Independent, about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, we know, per their history, they would use anything as an advantage to move up the political ladder or to save their necks. That's just a politician in general. But in this movie, they talk, that scene is so great. And Thompson, that's her best moment, because you literally feel the political knights stabbing everybody in the back. And there are moments where this movie feels like that. Like, I think the scene where Henry has to go to the barbecue joint and get the father to sign essentially the NDA and do the paternity tests and all that, truly effective at how disgusting this whole process has to be. How people's lives are used as political pawns so that we can keep the fresh image of everybody in one's mind about this white guy on a horse riding in to save America. And I think that we see a lot of that's, I think, maybe Lester's best moment, where he has to smile the entire time, even though you can see around the eyes just how painful this whole process is. And yet the character doesn't have enough moments, I feel, until the end, where he's just like, I'm broken. This system sucks.
No, definitely. He's definitely a passive character. Stuff is happening around him, but it breaks him, you know, in the same way that it breaks Libby. The power of that scene in the kitchen is that it's not just, man, you're a bad guy. It was, you told me that we were going to try and fix this, and now you are as bad as Nixon.
You were supposed to be different.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're supposed to be different. I've idolized you. You were supposed to be the change I was hoping for, and even you screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe if he's not as bad as Nixon, he's like, you're in the same vein as every other major politician, which stinks, and is also sort of, that's my politics.
There's always there's a specific line in that kitchen scene where Thompson, her voice breaks and says, you would do that, you would end his political career. She's obviously heartbroken at the idea of, oh, he had sex with a 17-year-old babysitter, but at the same time, she can't get over what this means for, like, she's too pot committed at this point. She's done too much. She's gone this far. Why not go a little further? And stuff like that, those moral gray areas really would, like, exploring that. And I know they by no means are like, oh no, the Stantons are in the right. And I like the fact that they don't really let them off the hook, except for the fact that they win. Like, there's no, this is definitely not a situation. This is not like a Hays Code situation where, like, no, they have to get their comeuppance. It's like, there's no comeuppance. It's like, he's the president, so here we go. Nothing bad can happen now, as you said.
I just feel like the end of the movie is almost like when when Michael closes the door in The Godfather, and you're like, oh, well, this is, you know, they've made the ultimate turn. There is no coming back from this.
Yeah, but I guess, but now he's not as conflicted, or definitely as to the means of, like, Libby. He's fully bought in, and he's
right, exactly, in the same way that Michael is like, I'm the Godfather now.
Yeah, but that shot is through Kay's perspective, and in that movie, she's like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? It's too late. And then her actions in Godfather 2 then represent the antithesis.
I'm not calling it
a
1-to-1, but the
well, that's exactly what you're doing, Jay, and I will not stand for it.
The sentiment is very similar, except instead of it being from Kay's perspective, it's from the world's perspective.
No, I think Henry, though it's not fully believable for me in this movie. Like, I think that Henry, as much as he wants to believe in the process, I think he would have been defeated by the end. I don't think he would be still there. I think he would have walked away, and I think he would have been done. I think he would have been. The movie presents his girlfriend telling him everything that this movie should have been at the end of the movie, which is that this man is not going to save you. This man is not going to be the problem solver. He is corrupt, just like any other politician, and there should have been a little bit more consequences to that, or more recognition of that. And I think
that's a good question. So you find that this movie is saying the ends justify the means to a certain extent. I'm not saying you say that. I'm saying that's how you kind of see the movie.
I think that, I kind of think that that's how Henry justifies it in the end. And he still remains weirdly an optimist, even though he's clearly seen corruption around it. And I think he's very naive. And I think that it's actually a detriment to May's writing here that she doesn't evolve this mostly fictional character at this point.
I don't read it that way.
I feel as if throughout the film, there's never a moment where Henry just has fed up and is done with it. You can see his emotions that he's tired of it, but then it's just a quick talk with Jack at the end. He's literally seen Libby dead. Like, people wouldn't come back from that. Like, no matter how much power is involved.
Yes, they would, because it's Washington, D.C., baby.
Yeah.
Everyone is just slime.
And I think that's, it's kind of the thing that Billy Bob says in his last, like, speech. Is like, he's like, I've been through this a million times. It's like, he's like, well, I haven't. It's like, yeah, what makes this different? It's like, well, it was worth it, because they can also, like, it's one of those things where these political operators are in and out of all these campaigns over and over and over again. And whenever they catch a star, they're like, "Oh man, this is different. This could actually take me places."
But it is a machine, Ben, that does chew people up and spit them out. And I do not feel I feel like Henry is presented as somebody that by the end of this, it would have spit him out. Yeah. I think this is not a place for an idealism and an idealistic
This is
person.
not idealist like some of the Sorkin stuff.
No, but I do think that I don't think anybody else in this movie is, but I think Henry is presented that way. The way he sees that. I just the way he sees Jack is very much
so broken at the end that he's just like, this is how politics is, and I want to be in politics. So to a certain extent, and it's the same thing that Jack says, right? So he's sort of
he's like the devil at the end. Yeah.
Look. Who's going to be better? I know we did all this stuff, but who's going to be better for the people than me when it's over?
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent that it kind of penetrates his mentality. And what does Richard say is like Henry's worst trait? He says, "You have TB, true believerism."
Yeah, exactly.
That's a killer line as well.
I do really think it's an interesting that's another interesting thread that this film could have gone. They would have had to do it way earlier, but I mean, like, where Henry just being broken and still going along with the machine, like that's a.
Well, no, he kind of does by the end.
But that's at the end. Like, he's just like, I don't want to do this anymore, and he goes, "We're gonna win this thing." Fade to won the presidency. Like there's still months to go. Like where like this, it kind of is too caught up in the idea of the film finds Stanton too interesting, and they frame Travolta as the star of it, while they should be like there should be more to the outskirts. Like they're like having like Diane Ladd being there for 2 seconds.
Yeah, that
just
is
to say that I'm Jack Stanton's mama. Like literally the only reason she's there. And like, what's that relationship like? What it like?
Rob Reiner just being as a
Rob Reiner is good in this.
Yeah, he's good.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Yeah.
Does she hit on 17? Yeah.
Yeah. But like, no, I just feel like that's mainly the problem I have with the film, is that it is trying to be too many things, specifically with its main character. And yet you're right, Ben. I think that it is focused way too much on Stanton and not necessarily on what probably made this movie or this book more interesting. Is not just Clinton, but the cover up, the abuse of it, the literal. I'm not asking, Travolta to literally pay for the sins of Bill Clinton here, but there does not feel like the movie.
I don't think it should be that preachy, though.
No, but it is trying to be that. You don't make a movie like this, Jay, literally during this man's tenure as president of the United States, if you're not trying to be somewhat preachy or somewhat of a warning sign of what is in the White House. It's no different than W.
You know who was an intense liberal? Mike Nichols.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think he's, putting Bill Clinton to the fire with this movie.
But then why make this movie then?
That's a fine question.
You know who loves this movie? Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill Clinton loved this movie and loved Travolta's performance.
Because at the end, he gets to dance the night away as the president of the United States.
Is that okay, Ben? What do you think of the ending of this? I find it very cynical, whereas Ryan finds it kind of celebratory. Where do you stand on?
No, I don't think it's celebratory. I think it is cynical, but I don't think that that's what it should be. And it doesn't feel like it sort of betrays itself by the end. I really do think like it betrays Henry as a character because of the fact that like.
Oh, so you're saying...
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is like...
So you're just looking at it from the Henry perspective. I'm saying from the Stanton perspective, it seems to me it's like that final shot in Working Girl where you zoom out and it's like, oh, well, now she's just like everybody else in the tedium of American capitalism.
Yeah.
And here it's like, oh, how do you get ahead in the American political system? By lying and cheating
and stealing and killing,
acting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. That's for sure. I think what Nichols and May found interesting. I just feel like the main character of this movie is not John Travolta, like Ben said. It is Henry, and I think the film betrays that character by the mismanaging of the writing. Throughout that character's
did Clinton actually like this movie? That's like a thing.
That doesn't surprise me.
He wanted Travolta to come to the White House in character.
Jesus Christ. And then the scandal happened. There was no way that was going to fucking happen.
Well, the only reason it didn't happen because Travolta said no.
Yeah. Well,
Can we talk Travolta? I think he's bad in this.
Travolta on a comeback in the 90s.
Oh, this is post Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction's
obviously.
Look who's talking now is in 93. Then you have Pulp Fiction in 94. He comes back, gets Oscar nominated. Big movie, big turn of events for him. He gets Get Shorty in 95. He has Michael, Broken Arrow, and Phenomenon in 96. He's got Face Off in 97. And then
great film.
And then in this year, he has got A Civil Action, The Thin Red Line, and Primary Colors. And then it kind of goes a little bit downhill from there. Because in 99, he's got The General's Daughter, which is okay. And then he has literally one of the worst movies in the history of cinema in 2000.
Battlefield Earth.
Lucky Numbers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Lucky Numbers. Yeah. But Battlefield Earth.
Yes.
And becomes literally a joke within himself for the next.
I really, watching this movie, I was just thinking, John Travolta, few actors feel like they are acting at all times more than Travolta, and never more than in this movie. I do not know why he made the decision to do Clinton.
No.
But I think it was a mistake.
I think he should have leaned more into like just his persona, like Travolta's persona.
What is Travolta's persona, though?
He's a movie star.
So,
and like a truck, you know, but at the same time,
movie star, how?
I think Phenomenon's a perfect movie for John Travolta. Phenomenon is the perfect John Travolta movie because he is leaning into kind of his hominess. Like I would argue it's probably his most relaxed performance. That and Michael, like they're two very relaxed,
very charming,
very charming, very charming. And it's the only time, like you said, he is very stiff at all times, and in these performances, and like. Even Pulp Fiction, I look back on, and of the things in that film, I'm just like, Travolta's performance is not.
He's good in that bit.
No, I'm not saying he's not good. But whenever I watch it, I'm just like, there's something about like he has a very specific kind of like delivery that whenever he leans into any sort of grime is whenever I like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But his inherent likability is also a likable thing. He never really finds like the balance. He's always like Broken Arrow, Face Off, Insane, or he's like good guy. And when he tries to find any sort of the middle, he just doesn't really work anywhere.
Yeah,
like
he should have been wilder in this movie.
He's not. There's no moral ambiguity.
No.
Like it doesn't really work for him. And he's just doing a straight Clinton impression.
And he does not pull off the accent.
He does not pull off the accent. He also just. He takes away any ambiguity of the character of creating something outside of what the story is. Like the story itself is already going to make all the points without having to be dressed and sound and literally look like Bill Clinton. Like it's honestly just really a bizarre choice because even Emma Thompson doesn't sound like Hillary Clinton.
No.
In this movie, you know,
no, she was not doing
she was doing a regular character in this.
She very purposefully was like, I'm not going to do Hillary.
No.
And then John Travolta was like, I'm doing Bill, man.
I'm doing Bill. You know,
I think I got a good Bill going, man.
Yeah, I think I can do it. Now it sounds a little Forrest Gumpy. But yeah, it's just, it feels a little bit like the movie where it is a decision they made. And it was the wrong one. And they kind of put 10 toes deep into the sand and couldn't go back on it.
Would be better.
Yes, because Hanks is a politician.
Yes.
Tom Hanks is a politician.
Well, and the thing about Bill Clinton was he was so charismatic. I've never found Travolta particularly charismatic.
This is what, 98?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. So this would have been what, like right after Apollo 13?
I'm looking it up because I want to know what era of Hanks we would have got.
So this is same year as Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
right.
He could have made. Yeah, and You Got Mail, right?
Yes.
Okay,
he's still America's sweetheart.
Imagine
like
though,
America's
but imagine
his run. Yeah,
but imagine him just playing. Okay, it's Hanks, right, in this movie. Not that I really hate doing this, but like because we got the film we got, but like It was almost that, right, Jay? Like they literally
we love alternative casting. What are you talking about? It's like our favorite thing.
I know, but I'm not going to say it's going to change the quality of the film, but it probably would have, because like Hanks, I don't think would have played Clinton. I think he would have at this time, he could have just played himself, honestly. And it would have been a really different turn for Hanks at the time, playing a corrupt politician, larger than life figure.
He might be too likable. That's possible as well.
But isn't that Clinton though? The idea
that
about
is Clinton.
The idea of Bill Clinton is Bill Clinton did all this stuff. And yet the American people said, I don't give a shit. He's going to be my president. Much like Trump. Trump did all of these things. He, Stormy Daniels and the tapes and all this stuff, and it doesn't matter. That's my president. And I think Hanks, because he's got the smile and the charm and everything, he doesn't have to pull off an accent, because Hanks rarely does good accents. And he could have just done it straight Tom Hanks, and it would have sold a hell of a lot better. And the movie probably would have been more successful also too.
We're going to get to talk about Tom Hanks in a Mike Nichols political movie here soon. So.
Very much so. We're going to get we're going to get literally the test of the movie. That's probably what this should have been in 2 episodes to come. Whether that movie is good or not,
I'm excited to watch about, or to talk about that, or to honestly to watch it again.
So I'm weird. I'm curious about I want to throw out a piece of alternative casting instead of Hanks and Travolta. And I know you kind of we got to have a movie star in this. And it's like, what if instead of that you have like Jeff Bridges? And
Jeff Bridges did whatever it's called. What was the other
Contender? In the Contender, but I mean, he doesn't do the Contender if he does this, obviously, because that's a very different type of president. But I mean, like you can see Jeff Bridges being that level of, now this is dude level. This is the same time as Big Lebowski, and that's not that it's a different type of persona, but like the kind of actor of like charisma, but you can also have that darkness, and you kind of buy it all. But you still like the guy. Like, they're like, I think Emma Thompson is pretty perfectly cast as a Hillary type, because specifically she doesn't do Hillary, because that's what makes it work.
I think she's just kind of, for what she's given and everything. It's fine. I just think she's a little bit wasted for me.
I wish she had more to do.
I wish she had more to do, and I wish she wasn't having to at times feel like she's playing the straight man to this buffoon of a character that is opposite her, like Kentucky Fried, performance that's next to her on screen half the time. Like literally, I took this still from for my background tonight. This is the personification of this movie, where like Travolta's like having a fucking ball, and it's Emma Thompson and Billy Bob Thornton's faces being like, God, get me off the set. Yeah, get me off the set. Like that's what the energy of the movie feels. I do think though the movie was interesting for me in a couple of, obviously Kathy Bates. I think that she's the most.
I actually think every performance except Travolta is good.
I think the interesting subplot of the girlfriend being the person that's starting to take down to take down Stanton, and basically being the person that unravels the yarn here.
You're saying Henry's girlfriend?
Yeah, Henry's girlfriend.
Yeah,
I think that's a really interesting thing for the film. That's another character that just ceases to exist.
She just disappears
after this point, and a lot of characters just do that. And that's also
should have been 3.5 hours long.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the movie
I know.
chooses to add so many people
instead of cut, if anything.
Well, not really. Like it's pretty intricate to the idea of Henry and to the plot of the film. It just doesn't seem that the movie's interested in ever going back to solving some of these unresolved threads. They just add more and more and more characters. Like it's hatting on a hatting itself way too much throughout this movie. I feel like the second act of this movie doesn't even become about Stanton anymore. It literally becomes about another politician's dirty laundry as well, and how we have to balance that out. And it's like, wow, we're not even morally grappling enough with the protagonist of this movie and his boss, let alone the shady underbelly of the candidate that's trying to take his seat. Like it's a little bit all over the place, and I think that that's okay to say.
You know, it's one of the wildest scenes ever when they go to the AIDS clinic.
Yeah.
That is so weird and almost feels, for the guy who made Angels in America and was a huge AIDS advocate and stuff, to me it feels kind of icky.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
You don't like the line, "I fucked my brains out in prison"? You don't like that line? Like,
it's just so weird coming from Nichols, who was such an advocate. And it's just shows a real misjudgment.
It really is. I feel like a lot of ways there's a lot of decisions in the movies for May and Nichols. Like, it feels like a misjudgment of like what they're, for me, Jay, what they're trying to say or what they're trying to get at, because they are very extreme liberals. But I mean, yeah, you could say, sure, it's a cynical process, but it's like, what, are you finally discovering that at the age of 50, 60 years old? Like, what are you trying to say here? Because I don't think you're conveying it well enough within the figure that you probably donated for, or through the characters that you've, manipulated in from real life events. Like it feels very much like a mixed bag from them. And it's a shame because it does have so much potential on this kernel of an idea to tap into it. But Jay, like you mentioned, Nichols is just notorious for missing the political mark right before events or other films hit it in a much. He's just
he's got some of out of his control.
It's really bad luck. Like that's what it just is. It's bad luck. I'm
also going to give him a little bit of a ding as far as like, I think sometimes even these directors, these classic directors who have all this kind of power, can still get overpowered by a movie star. And this feels like Travolta wanting to do things and Nichols is unable to reel him in.
Which is crazy because he's notorious for working.
Oh, he's one of the great directors of actors.
Yeah,
and it just, but it feels like it's kind of like, oh man, Scorsese would never let that happen. It's like, would you see The Departed? Do you think Jack wanted to do you think he was reeling him in at all? Or
well, it's funny because like the film before, he's reeling in literally the biggest performer on the planet.
Totally.
In Robin Williams. And then in this one, he's like giving Travolta free range to do really bad decisions. You know what I mean? As an actor, and not giving him notes to change this idea, or that if it's too late, too much, and that he did dig it. And that's the other thing too. Maybe he just dug what he was giving him, and if that's the case,
but the thing about Robin Williams, you say that he reeled in Robin Williams and he let Travolta off the leash. Maybe what this movie needed to be is more tonally similar to The Birdcage.
Yes. No, you're right.
Because Robin Williams is he's no smaller performance-wise than Travolta is in this movie. It's just that this movie is a lot more serious than
self-serious
The Birdcage.
Yeah.
And I feel like certainly Elaine May, and I think Nichols as well, I think they operate best sort of in the vein of a Birdcage kind of energy.
Well, they operate also too, their comedy and their sensibilities from a dark comedic angle. And I don't find this movie, Jay, I know you don't. Ben, do you find this movie like secretly funny, like comparative to their other work? Like, is it
especially like, so it's so funny coming straight off The Birdcage, because I saw that a few days ago. It was on TV, and I'm like, rip roaring, like has a 45-minute stretch of just nonstop hilarious comedy, and you're just like, man, how do you come off of that? And then I was looking at the Golden Globes that Travolta was nominated for actor in a musical or comedy, and I'm like, there's very small amounts of comedy in here. Like the actual comedy, like the only line I consistently laugh at is Billy Bob Thornton said, "I'm blacker than you are. I got some slave in me." And that's the only line that I consistently get a laugh about. But it makes you feel uncomfortable anyway. He pulled his dick out 2 minutes before this. Like it's not a film you think of. It has a tone of comedy, without the substance of comedy.
Yeah.
It's asking, it's saying this is supposed to be funny, but it's all horrifying reality.
Yeah. Libby's stuff is often pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's because she's given to be the wild card. Like from the moment she comes in, she's a jolt of energy.
They're letting her off the leash for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, thank God, because
that's a great decision.
Honestly, that's the character that feels the most Elaine May in the movie. Is this person that is able to mix the humor through the shadiness of all these characters to then really brings home the message of the movie by the end, and it feels
that's probably the best character in the movie.
It is. No, there's not even a question for me, Jake. She is the best character in this movie. Like, period.
What do you think about her fate?
I think that is as cheesy as shit, though.
I think it's a little much.
Yeah, that's why I think like the ending of this movie, again, going back to Henry, like you see somebody, he works so closely with Libby, and to see that person die at essentially the decisions of these two political individuals, to then like be like, oh yeah, lost my girlfriend, lost the other girl that I was with, this woman just shot himself. Yeah, I'm just gonna like sign up for all this. Like there would be a little bit of like inside where it's like I can't be a part of this anymore. Like there'd be a little pushback. You know what I mean?
The scene itself where she is found in the car and he sees the police sirens in the window and he goes outside. I think in a vacuum that scene is good. The problem is it turns it into like House of Cards, the Kevin Spacey House of Cards, where I'm just like, oh my God, this, like the most dramatic thing has to happen at every turn of House of Cards.
It's the late 90s. In like 10 years.
You know what?
Spacey would have been probably good for this. I'm not trying to start shit. I'm just saying Spacey was a great character actor. He wasn't a movie star at this time. He was an Oscar winner. He was about to win his second one in a couple of years.
This was 98. So when was...
So like 95, 96 was when Usual Suspects
95.
When he won for that. Yeah. And then in 99 he wins
LA
for
Confidential.
LA Confidential was 97. So it was the year before.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe, you know what I mean?
He wasn't a big enough star to carry.
No, he wasn't. But... Like if they did this in 2003 though, he could have easily done it.
And then that would have aged fantastically.
Well, most of these political movies that are like,
I say that true, like Travolta doesn't have his fair share of baggage, but
exactly. Like, I mean, like he literally has a Scientology movie on his belt. And
I was wondering why you were skipping that in his filmography.
Yeah, it's the weirdest.
And
shit.
What do you think of the Kathy Bates finale?
So it's knowing I've seen it a lot of times.
Just on repeat.
On what? Well, I mean, on multiple viewings, whenever that scene is coming up, everything she's saying, you're like, dude, red flags everywhere. Like, come on, man. Like, she is telling you exactly what's about to happen. And he's like, all right, good night. See you in the morning. And then he wakes up in a sweat realizing what had happened. He's like, oh, you friggin' idiot. Of course this is what's going to happen.
It's a really dumbly written character in that scene. Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's the film is not it's the only time I feel like I'm trying to get manipulated. Like it's the only time where they're
feels like a movie.
Yes, like, hey, we're gonna make it. It's like things are real now. And it's like, oh, the rape of a 17-year-old wasn't real. It's like all this stuff wasn't like the blackmailing of all this thing has not been real up to this point. Now is where the tables have finally turned. And I'm sure in the moment it was like, man, this is going to be big. It's going to be deep and this kind of stuff. And it's like, it just, as soon as she dies, it's like, it feels so hollow. Cut straight to the funeral with friggin' Jack up there lauding her and kind of, calling shit on himself. And it's like, oh, whatever. Like that's the stretch of the film that I hate the most.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't in and of itself. When Libby's in the car and she's like, "I'm the moon, the Jacksons are my son." That's like, oh, that's brutal. That's like, that's good.
Yeah,
but then it turns into the other stuff.
The Stantons, you mean, not the Jacksons?
The Stantons. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. Apologies to Miss Jackson.
For real. And then it's one of those things like smash cut from the funeral to them blackmailing Larry Hagman. You're like, like
they didn't learn anything there.
They didn't learn anything. And
I mean, that makes sense though. I mean, that they were going to still do. Yeah,
Henry's there. Like Henry afterwards, going like, you know what? I don't know about this. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I feel like the handshake is
human.
I mean, it's something that they set up at literally at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
but it feels like a betrayal. Like honestly, it should have been a fake out. It should have been like somebody else gets that hand. Henry's maybe watching it in a bar. He's taking a flight somewhere, and he just goes home or he goes away. But like, again, and I'm not saying like that has to be like squeaky clean of an ending, but it feels better than what this is, where it's like you can essentially, it's like he knows where all the bodies are buried, and he's going to be with us for the next 8 years, and that's true, because if Henry is based off of Stephanopoulos, he definitely was a part of that, and he definitely knew where everything was going to be. But
and now he's hosting Good Morning America.
Exactly. Exactly. But this is also a movie, and you're also not saying that any of these people are actually those people.
Yeah.
You've blurred the line between fiction and reality. It's the difference sometimes between like, and the dangers of biopics. How much are you trying to be faithful to real life, and how much are you trying to make an actual movie? And it weirdly, for these two veterans that are a great team and a great tandem that has worked together for like 30 years, they get to this thing, and Nichols really wanted to make it and everything, and for some reason they just couldn't get it all to click. And I don't understand that, because like it feels as if at times they're pulling the like, because there's so much heightened drama, and because there is so much sensitivity to the events of what happened with Bill Clinton and in this movie and in the book, they stripped all the comedy out of it, right? These larger than like sort of incidences. And then that makes for a very bland movie that's out of their wheelhouse and devoid of the birdcage. That's just not the kind of movie they make usually.
I think we're moving in. I like this movie more since the start of the podcast, and I'm pretty confident Ryan likes it less than he did at the start of the podcast. So.
You like this more now?
I'm like, I think there's really good stuff in it. I did just run through some of those amazing Elaine May lines, and I'm just like, that's really freaking good writing. It's anonymously directed, which I think is one of its flaws. It doesn't really.
It's pacing issues,
trademarks. I mean, it's too long.
Too long, buddy.
Travolta's bad, but I don't know. Maybe I like it less.
I think you want to like it more.
No,
I want to like it more too.
15 minutes ago, I really was like, "There's something here," and then in the last 15 minutes, we've kind of been like, "Maybe there's nothing here."
Maybe I just worn you down.
I think I'm going in just a clean 3 stars.
Yeah, and that's what I put. I think
just a clean 3.
I think I put like 3, 2.5.
Ben's going 4.5.
I saw you the other day. You put 3. I don't know. I get 4 flat. 4 flat is my highest level of like. This is high trash. Like this is like
I don't hate this movie.
I recognize all the flaws, but I still enjoy the hell of it. Conclave, exactly the same level for me.
I think that's
for me. I give like grade 2 5. Yeah, like that's my trash.
Yeah, like I think I gave
Trash Transcends.
I think I gave Conclave 3 as well. And that's the thing about a movie like these is like I see the potential of great inside these movies, but they don't hit them for me. And when that happens, I sound like I bitch more about them than I actually like celebrate the good qualities. But there are like, again, really great performance. I think Kathy Bates is extraordinary in this, and I don't think we give her flowers nearly enough as an actress.
Nope.
And yeah, Billy Bob is great. Like Billy Bob in this era. Again, I just keep watching these Nichols movies, and I'm like,
grumpy Southern guy.
Yeah, he's like grumpy Southern guy. But also, we just don't get character actors anymore.
Landman himself. Anybody watched Landman?
Landman.
I've seen living in the South, everybody in my world is like, "Oh, you're a critic. You should watch Landman." I'm like, "Stop saying this."
Same. And I'm the exact same.
It's like I've seen so many interviews of Billy Bob dressed like no human on the planet should dress.
Yeah.
Alongside a very straight-laced Demi Moore and John Hamm. Yeah. And then Billy Bob coming in with way too many scarves, a headdress, like who knows what's going on there.
Billy Bob's like leaning into the wardrobe that Johnny Depp used to wear a lot. Like
The same year, Billy Bob had A Simple Plan and Armageddon. Big
Man,
year for
what a
Billy Bob.
year for Billy Bob.
By the way, Armageddon, terrible movie. Billy Bob is incredible in Armageddon. He is
Armageddon.
So
A
Armageddon
Simple Plan,
rules.
amazing movie.
Yeah,
And
Simple
he's
Plan
amazing
rules.
in it. That movie
That movie
rocks.
rules. Is that Raimi's best, Jay?
No, I'd have to go with Evil Dead 2.
Two. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
close,
Simple
though.
Plan is great though.
You give it
Simple
even.
Plan, it's a good grandpa movie. Like good, like oh man, good movie to show your grandparents where they're like, that was good, and you're like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just wanna like. You miss the era of movies like that.
Tell you what else I watched recently. Spider-Man 2. Banger.
Banger. First one's good too.
Yeah.
What about Spider-Man 3?
Haven't watched it in forever, assuming it's as messy as I remember.
Yeah, but I'll take the mess over some of the schlock we get. Have you seen like the trailers for just any of the promos, any clips for the new Captain America movie?
Yeah, Red Hulk, baby.
It looks awful.
Hey,
It
if you want me, come and get me, man. Okay, like
I mean-
don't. it's one of those things where I know it's going to be bad, and I know my kids want to watch it, and so I'll take them to it. And in there, I'm just going to be like, well, the discourse on this is going to be shitty, and that's all and that's going to be my takeaway from it.
Yeah, I mean, like the discourse on it, with Mackie and all that. Like, I don't care about that. The movie itself, it is of the quality of these Disney Plus shows, and it just is made by anonymous people at this point.
I was wondering who is the director of this.
Yeah, because the Captain America movies used to be the Russos.
No idea.
Yeah, if I gave Jay a million guesses, he'd probably never get it.
Well,
do you have it in front of you?
I have it in front of me.
Is
Ben
it a person that I should that I would know?
No.
Okay.
Now, that being said, he made a movie I love.
Oh, okay.
His name is this is Julius Ona, and he made the movie Loose.
Oh,
Harrison.
The
That
Loose
movie-
guy's doing this?
Loose is such a good movie,
Yeah.
and every time he comes out with something else, I'm just like, what's he gonna do? I'm like, Captain America. Oh, I hope he gets a bag of cash.
We
kinda
live in a golden age.
I was kind of mixed on Loose. Jay, weren't you as well?
I was a little bit of a Loose detractor, I will admit.
Not like a Waves detractor.
No, Waves is garbage.
I still haven't seen Waves. I've heard all these. It's one of those. It's like, oh man, Waves is so good, and I'm like,
Waves is like Vox Lux.
I've heard.
Like
those people, it's either 1.5 or 5.0.
Yeah, it's like there's no middle ground on this thing. You know what I mean? Like I haven't watched Vox Lux. Everyone keeps like, because I love the Brutalists so much, they're like, maybe you shouldn't watch them. And I'm like, I kind of should. But
you should see Vox Lux. It has one of the most manipulative, cheap, offensive scenes I've ever seen in it.
Isn't there like a school shooting plot line?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. Well, it's not an alert. It's
a movie
literally-
nobody has seen.
That's true. I wanted to watch his other one that he had with Pattinson. That was the one I really want to. But man,
Which one is that?
The Children of a Lesser God, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. Okay.
But man, that guy is doing the Captain America movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you're him and you get offered that, and then we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, he's like, well, what am I going to say? No?
Who's doing Thunderbolts?
I will look that up real quick.
I mean, it's the Mufasa thing, right? Like,
No.
you get that bag thrown at you, you're going to say no?
Well, I would say Barry Jenkins is a better director than the guy
I
that made
agree with
Loose.
that, but
Okay,
by
so-
all accounts, I have not seen Mufasa. By all accounts, it is at best mediocre.
It's fine. But I'm glad that I'm glad it made money, and I'm glad that Barry now gets to make like a ton of Bill Streets and Moonlights probably next.
The director of Thunderbolts is Jake Schreier, who
is that?
He made the films Robot and Frank and Paper Towns. He is probably most known as the executive producer of Beef.
Oh, okay.
We're doing great.
We're doing great. And then is John Watts the one that directed Fantastic Four?
No,
wasn't that Peyton Reed?
Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed. Oh, so it's the
Ant-Man
Ant-Man guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Bring it on.
But Watts isn't doing Spider-Man 4. They're going to get somebody else to do that, right? Like Watts is done.
I think Watts is out on
Marvel
he did the and Wolves. Apple.
Yeah, because they're not doing the Wolves sequel. That was a stupid idea, by the way. Like, just absolutely dumb to not even try to release that movie in theater. I'm not saying it would have made
that movie. Stinks.
I mean, it stinks.
Oh my god!
But I think old people would have gone and saw it. I totally would.
So it's not Peyton Reed. It's Matt Shankman.
Who?
Matt Shackman. Excuse me, Matt Shackman.
I'm learning so much today.
So he's a television director. Mostly.
Oh, great.
He did WandaVision.
Oh, he's a WandaVision guy.
Yeah.
WandaVision's kind of good.
Yeah, I agree. And he also did a movie called Cut Bank from 2014.
Don't know.
I don't know it either.
Don't know.
He directed an episode of Mad Men.
Oh, well, sign me up now.
5 House MDs, 5 episodes of House, 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So, you know.
Okay. Now we're talking.
All right. Yeah. So he is a debaucherous fool. All right. That's cool.
He did a lot of You're the Worst. Like I'll let him have
Jay, a show about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
If you ask my wife.
Hi-oh. But anyway,
I will
we're
say
getting back to 3 Marvels this year. That's weird.
Ben brought up something that is going to be very interesting for me to experience, which is my son is not old enough to like enthusiastically like movies really yet, or at least communicate his movie watching experience. He's 2. So, but when he's like 8,
you're gonna have to watch all this
and
shit.
I see him loving whatever garbage comes out, I'm gonna be like, in reality, this is a 1.5-star movie. I'm giving it a nice 3. My son had a great time.
And my kids do this already. While we sat in the movie theater watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, and as soon as the movie's over, I pull out my phone, pull up Letterboxd, and my daughter leans over and says, "That better be 5 stars."
Wow!
And I went 2. And you like it. It's like
Letterboxd pilled already.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys are dweebs.
It's like sports teams. You have to be able to impose your will onto your kids.
That's exactly right.
You have to be able to steer their tolerances in certain ways. Yeah. Like, I asked my kids, it's like, hey, next week we can either go to Captain America or we can go to Paddington to Peru, and they unanimously said Paddington to Peru. So
that's smart household.
Yes.
But Jay, if your son doesn't have a cynical bone in his body when looking at any of these movies going forward, by the time of age of 8, you failed. Because if you're not passing on some of your cynicalness over some of these films,
God, I had a work lunch today where everybody was talking about how much they loved all the recent Marvel movies.
Oh,
and I just sat there. And they know I'm like the movie guy, and I was just like,
it's like Darkness, My Old Friend, kind of.
Yeah, Ant-Man, Quantumania, yeah, definitely. Glad you liked it.
That's how I am when I was on a work call, and they were like, "Ryan, I saw Wicked this weekend," and I was like, "Okay." Like, what do you want me to take with that? And
we talked Wicked today as well.
Yeah, and they were like, "What did you think? Wasn't it a masterpiece?" And I'm like, "Don't we have to?" And I literally said, "I think we should start the meeting. I think we're good to not." And my boss was like, "Ryan, did you not like Wicked?" And I was like, "No, I did not like Wicked. I didn't think it was good." And I had to like say it like that under my breath, and people were angry. People were angry.
This is the downside of being a film critic adjacent at all, because somebody will, hey, you're a film critic. Hey, what do you think about my favorite movie ever? And you have to keep your lid on the fact that you think it's terrible.
I gotta tell you, some people, when you find out what their favorite movie is, you don't want to work with them anymore.
It is.
I'll tell you that.
It can be very revealing and
when someone said Forrest Gump was their favorite movie of all time, I was like, I don't know if I want to message you on Teams anymore.
Oh, I love Sicario, American Psycho, and Fight Club. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, when people say Sicario, I'm like,
yeah, brother.
Have you?
Sicario's good.
Yeah, but like as your favorite movie of all time?
I mean, no.
It's a little rough.
Or anybody who likes American Psycho and they look the way they do, I'm like, I don't like
the hardest thing for me is when people ask for movie recommendations.
Yeah.
And I have to I have to be like, like I can't recommend Nickel Boys, right? Like it's my favorite movie of the year, but no one's gonna see that. I can't recommend that because it's a very.
I mean, Jay, you can't even recommend something like Challengers because you're like, there's no way people are gonna like get into this.
Probably not. But then, yeah, somebody was asking me, have you seen The Substance? And I was like, yes. Did you like it? Yes. Should I watch it? And I was like,
I think
it's an HR violation if I recommend that movie to you.
I think 9 times out of 10 nowadays you can recommend horror movies to people because people are like, horror is a big thing and people are really loving that. Like everybody asked me like what I was going to see over the holidays. And I was like, I'm going to take the wife to see Nosferatu. And everybody was very excited about that. So usually it's the big dumb action movie or the horror movie that's coming out.
I was talking about that with my hairdresser. My hairdresser, big horror person.
Yeah,
I've discovered. So
did a great job, by the way.
And she gives a great cut.
Shout out Jay's barber.
Shout out Sarah.
That's who should win Stooms, by the way. Nosferatu should win Stooms.
Oh yeah, Nosferatu's got good Stooms.
Man, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Some of those coats. I was like, man, it's like.
Yeah. He's rocking that
fit. I
think actually, now that you say that, I think
Count Orlok should have been.
What is the Aaron Taylor Johnson Spider-Man movie?
Oh, more Craven.
I think that should win Stooms.
Well, that's not nominated, buddy, but unfortunately,
Injustice abounds.
I think Orlok should have been Stanton in this movie. I think that would have made this movie 10 times better if he was. Running for president.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
She's a very good librarian.
Why did you make yours sound like Borat? Like
because I don't do accents, okay? It's like I don't know what I'm doing. I wasn't ready.
She was a very nice librarian.
I told you, I got the Kazakh part down. I don't know the rest of it.
It did sound Mario, like you were literally carrying over from that conversation.
It's my Chris Pratt impression. It's my Chris Pratt of it all. It's like
this episode's been great. Anything else
off the rails?
You guys want to talk about primary colors about? Anything else you guys want to mention?
3 stars.
3 stars.
Tony Shalhoub, one of our great Latin American actors.
Love how this is like the first use of like AI sort of manipulated like the way in which they manipulate the tapes and then surprise all Larry King.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Jay Ledbetter, you're from Cincinnati. You're live with Larry King.
Very blowout.
Yeah, very much so.
Rough conversation.
He's got audition in there, like the audition files. It's like, hey, play that again. It's like, no, okay. Like, yeah. It's as close. That's where most of the budget went, just for the CGI for that.
But no, Ben, anything else you want to add?
There's levels of lesser Nichols, and this is top tier of lesser Nichols for me.
Okay.
Like
I like that.
Of those, like, the Biloxi.
I can go with that.
The Biloxi Blues, I kind of put Charlie Wilson's War on there, and like of the things that aren't the things he's known for, this is the best version of those. But it doesn't touch anything that you would associate him with.
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
It's I think I'm not mad I watched it.
I'm not mad either, buddy.
Yeah,
but
I think it's worth the time. It's not like Quills, which I watched recently. Trash.
I haven't seen it in a while. It must be not good.
Well, why don't you guys like share a popcorn and fucking watch Quills or something? Jesus Christ.
Just did it. Not going to do it.
Yeah. You're not going to do it? Okay. Mm-mm. Well, you guys can go watch like the Marvel movies that we discussed here.
We'll go see Captain America.
Yeah.
Since he's not seen it with his kids.
Go to Atlanta and watch it with Jay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Jay?
Yes.
Before we get out of here, we're going to test your award season knowledge.
This is a tough one. This is going to be hard.
Based on the film we just reviewed, which is Primary Colors. In this segment, we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Now, Jay, like you said, this is a toughie.
It is.
But I think you got this. Jay was Primary Colors nominated for any Academy Awards. Ben, I know you're pretty good at this stuff. Don't help him.
Okay, I got you.
All right. Ben did say that Travolta got a Golden Globe nom.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of the nature of the movie, I'm going to assume he got an Oscar nomination as well.
That's incorrect.
Oh.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, then I don't. Did it get any nominations?
Well, that wouldn't help the game. Do you think it got any nominations?
I do think it did.
Okay. Then
you know what I bet it got?
Okay, what?
Just for partly just the story, I bet it got a screenplay.
That is correct.
Okay. Oh, God.
It's like wanting to get the answers for the freaking test. What are you doing over here?
I mean, I'm trying to think if there were any other performances. If there was, definitely not Emma Thompson. I think the only other one that might have would be Kathy Bates, but I don't know that would have kind of gotten through. But I do think you're saying there were others, so I am going to say Kathy Bates.
That is correct.
Oh, Kathy Bates did get nominated. Okay.
Yes, she did.
Oh, God. What else? I don't know what else it could have been nominated for.
Well,
I'm gonna stop it there.
That's good because that's it.
Okay. Hey,
you got
not bad.
it, buddy. You're not bad, buddy. It's a tough one.
Travolta couldn't get it done.
Couldn't get past Nick Nolte for Affliction. That was Nick Nolte for Affliction, Edward Norton, American History X, Ian McKellen, Gods and Monsters, Tommy Hanks, Saving Private Ryan, and Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful.
Four great performances and the shitbird of them all.
Yeah, which is Roberto Benigni.
Did he win?
Yeah, he won. Yeah, because he won and then he climbed the seats.
Principesce.
Have not seen that movie.
It is a problem.
It is.
I have heard it has aged like a fine banana.
The Jojo Rabbit of the 1990s.
It's worse than that. Like
it's on par. Both of those are not good movies. Sorry,
man.
Ben. Sorry,
no,
listeners.
not at all. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah,
and it's just so misplaced in its earnestness.
Jay.
Yes.
So Primary Colors was nominated for adapted screenplay. Lost.
Wouldn't give it to it.
Lost to Gods and Monsters.
Okay.
From Bill Condon. A Simple Plan. The Thin Red Line. And Out of Sight were the other nominees.
Hard to say that The Thin Red Line really has a screenplay, but
yeah,
it is one of my 10 favorite movies of all time.
We talked about this year when we did The Thin Red Line.
Yeah, last year we did. Honestly, Simple Plan is probably the best screenplay of that group.
Oh, Out of Sight. Give me Out of Sight all day long.
Oh, Out of Sight, God.
Yeah,
it's a real coin. It's a real coin. Two good ones.
It's a real coin flip, buddy.
Remember when George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez take their clothes off and then like laugh at each other because they're so hot?
Because it's the sexiest movie alive.
What a movie!
Dude, the sexiest movie with no actual sex. God, what a great movie!
Yeah,
great movie.
It's like I was listening to The Ringer and they were doing their Before Sunset episode of the rewatchables, and they were talking about like that is one of the sexier, most romantic movies, and they never kiss throughout that entire film.
Yeah,
and then it made me think of like Out of Sight, where like it is it's a movie of how to make a movie sexy without having to have sex scenes.
They kiss though.
No, they don't.
Not in Before Sunset.
Before Sunrise.
No, Before Sunset. Out of Sight.
Oh, yeah. They do kiss, but they don't go all the way, buddy. But then
they don't pull a Misty Mountains.
No, God damn it.
We've gone full circle.
Judy Dench won for Shakespeare in Love. It's Kathy Bates for Primary Colors. Brenda Blavin for Little Voice. Rachel Griffith for Hillary and Jackie, and Lynn Redgrave for Monsters and Gods and Monsters. Give it to Kathy.
Totally.
Judi Dench doesn't need to win this.
She had other places to win. I think Lynn Redgrave was like everybody. It was like the betting favorite at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't remember Lynn Redgrave in Gods and Monsters, even though I've seen it more than once.
I haven't seen it in a while. Jay, would you nominate Primary Colors in any other spot?
I don't think so.
I don't even know if you had nominated in the places that it got. Well, probably
you probably bait something.
Kathy, yeah. Would you
give Kathy some love?
Billy Bob was nominated actually already.
Yeah, for a simple plan.
Oh, he's so good in that. Honestly, just leave him with that one.
Yeah. Well, this is the year of a civil action, and that's where Duvall got nominated, but Travolta didn't. A little bit maybe him battling himself, not able to get in an actor.
The other movie that kind of cut this one out was Wag the Dog, the Barry Levinson movie.
Year before, that's right.
Yeah.
Again, Nichols.
Yeah.
Just a little too.
What are my favorite movies of 98?
Well, I mean, The Thin Red Line.
Well, that obviously is my number one.
Yeah. And then
Lebowski, Out of Sight, Truman Show.
Rushmore?
That was 98. I thought it was before that. Wow. Yeah. Rushmore. Wild Things, of course.
Pleasantville?
Oh,
Pleasantville.
Pleasantville's good.
Mask of Zorro's this year. I love the Mask of Zorro.
Mulan?
Jack Frost.
God damn it. I hate every now and then when you just go throw in a movie.
I will say this. Jack Frost will make me cry every time.
Out of Sight would be on the list too, Jay. Like straight up.
That's my number one.
Is that your number one?
That's my number one.
For the year?
Yeah.
I'd probably go Thin Red Line, Lebowski, Out of Sight. But that is a killer 3.
I got Truman Show up there.
Yeah, Truman Show would probably be my 4.
Underrated as far as political and a little dicey these days, but Bulworth, I kind of ride for Bulworth a little bit.
Oh, a little Beatty action.
Beatty is a bad actor and is a consistently bad actor, but as a writer director, I like him a little more. But you want to talk about a piece of history. You're like, this is a movie that would be made in this moment and never possibly be made again.
Ryan, we should consider covering him on the podcast.
Who?
Warren Beatty?
Nah, nobody would want to listen to that.
Okay, all right. Not going to happen.
Everybody tunes into the Dick Tracy episode. And then you could cover the Dick Tracy special.
Oh, man.
That thing rocks.
That thing does rock.
Just to keep the rights. So good.
Just to keep the rights to do something like that. That's the kind of stuff you like to see. All right. Ben, thank you so much for being on this, once again, silly show.
Our listeners listen great, very serious program.
Very serious program. Ben, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet? And if you could, Ben, could you give everybody out there a recommendation of the week? Doesn't have to be something new or tied to this. It could be anything you're watching, movie, TV show. Jay's even done music that you want to just recommend right now to all of our listeners listening to the show.
Yeah. Criterion, always awesome, bringing out their little special themes. They got Buster Keaton films on there. Go on there, they got all these awesome Buster Keaton films, and they're 45 minutes. They're an hour 15. Go on there, enjoy yourself. Quick, very digestible, enjoyable times. Even if you're not like I don't care about silent movies. It's 45 minutes. Go enjoy yourself. It's a great time, and I love those little like vignettes. It reminds me of it's like plane ride films essentially, but you can actually gain a lot more from it. Like critics will be into it, but also like a kid could watch it and might enjoy themselves. So I highly recommend the Buster Keaton set on Criterion. All right.
And where can they find you on the internet?
I'm on all the socials, the good ones and the Nazi ones, the Blue Sky, Letterboxd, Twitter. You can find me at nebisbin on Instagram, neb.isbin. My website is icecream4freaks.com. I write about all sorts of stuff. I apparently have a niche where I keep interviewing all the directors of the Oscar-nominated short films. I don't know why they keep talking to me, but it's nice of them to do so. It's nice to talk to
them. You get blackmail on them, don't you?
It's nice to have newly minted Oscar winners at the beginning of their career where nobody knows who they are, Oscar nominees. And I'm just like, hey, in a few years, if you actually do a narrative film, I already got the end. So
there you go.
Do you want us to not release this episode so that serious people still want to talk to you?
Well, the fact that anybody talks to me at all is kind of shocking. I don't know. Like
I feel the same, Ben. I feel the same way when I do interviews. I'm like, how am I getting away with this?
It's like I keep asking them about like you got Hugo Boss on the line, guys, right? You don't want to be like stupid dressed at the Oscars, right? Like, and they kind of take it seriously, but whatever. Like I said, my website, icecreamforfreaks.com, all of my writings on there. You can find me on Film Experience, Cinema Scholars, Movie Texted About, all over the place. I guest on other pods. I'm the David Thewlis of podcasting because I have to have a niche. My own podcast is Target Audience. You can find that and all the fun episodes, including Inside Llewyn Davis with Mr. Ryan. And obviously, got to get the Malik in with Tree of Life with Jay. So go check out those episodes. And, yes. And thanks, guys. Thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate
Benjamin,
it.
It's always a blast to have you on.
This is great.
So did you, before I kick it over to Jay, Ben, you do have to cast a vote here. Better co-host.
Oh, God.
Oh,
absolutely not. I think...
I think so. An undecided voter. All right. Okay.
We found one.
My vote goes for Nader.
Oh shit! All right.
He's going third party.
Yeah, he was.
Guy.
I mean, Jay Nader was going to be
Sophia.
on. Yeah. God damn it! All right. Is Sophia the Ralph Nader of this podcast?
She's the Ralph Nader.
Okay.
But by the way, she can break the tie because the highest rated episode of Target Audience is the Sophia Sim episode.
Wow.
Oh. Well, all right.
La-dee-da.
La-dee-da. Ralph Nader, indeed. All right, Jay. She's going to have a kick out of that one. All right. Jay, can you tell... same drill, buddy. You know the drill.
Yeah. Letterboxd, J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter. Any writing I'm doing over at AwardsWatch. Continue to listen to this podcast. I'll plug this podcast on this podcast. And recommendation of the week, I watched a masterpiece for the first time. It is Edward Yang's Yi Yi.
Yeah.
It is we did a 2000s retrospective podcast on the AwardsWatch feed. Go listen to that. I watched it just to kind of have the knowledge and ended up really kind of stumping for that movie. It's my favorite movie of that year now. I think it's just a true blue masterpiece. Really just an you cannot make that movie without an accumulation of life experiences. And it just feels like it kind of encapsulates every single angle with such detail, but also with such simplicity. So go check that one out. It's great. Edward Yang. Cool guy.
Might have to do that series down the road, Jay. Edward Yang.
Yeah, not many flicks.
Not many flicks, but a good series, I think, of some really great films inside that filmography, for sure. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work at awardswatch.com. Like Jay said, if you like podcasts here at AwardsWatch, you can listen to the AwardsWatch main show that's released every Monday. iTunes and Spotify, 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's a great place to get all of our news, reviews, interviews, and podcasts all sent to you all in one place. Jay, the wife and I have settled on a new challenge for 2025.
Wow.
So last year, when we didn't know what to pick, we go and throw on the films of one Mr. Denzel Washington to really like, you know, because he's got a lot of great movies in there, but he's also got some trash stuff in there as well too. And then you find out like a lot of it's really fun and entertaining stuff. So we kind of just like were trying to find a movie the other night. And the movie I'm going to talk about was the movie we put on. And by the end of the movie, we realized we're going to go down a rabbit hole for the movies of the Phantom of the Opera himself, Gerard Butler, this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not where I thought you were going.
So we watched the 2018 crime film, Den of Thieves.
You got to enter the den.
You got to enter the den. Jay, have you entered the den?
I have not entered the den. I've heard it is heat for morons.
Yes.
Which is complimentary.
Yeah, no, that's not a slap in the face of Den of Thieves. Very much gave me the heat for morons vibe. You know, and I had a really good time with it. Butler is insane in this movie. He's low key just got some really stupid choices that I think for like late night, you just want to watch something mindless. You could watch worse things. I will report back as this endeavor goes on with the wife.
I'm curious to know how far you make it before you're like, that's plenty.
Yeah, well, there are some in there I do like, actually.
No, he's made some good stuff.
Yeah, like Law Abiding Citizen. You ever seen that one?
Yeah. You know which one I like?
Which one?
Gamer. You seen Gamer?
I haven't seen Gamer. I want to. This is part of the idea of it. It's like you want to go around the.
That's from the Crank guys.
Oh, is it from the Crank guys?
It is very off-putting.
Okay.
I know some people who really ride for Cop Shop.
Yeah, we've talked about Cop Shop, right?
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people. I never saw it, but everybody really likes Greenland or whatever, and it's very topical.
Yeah,
going on right now in America. Might be part of the U.S. of A. soon. But anyway, Den of Thieves, really great. Had a fun time with it. Just a solid 3.5-star film on Letterboxd. Can't wait to see.
Sometimes a 3.5 stars is just like the best time you can have.
It's just what you want to get through on on a Monday night. We're gonna watch the sequel. I heard they've already said they're gonna make a third one. Can't wait.
Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves. Yeah, sounds really stupid, but I'm all for them. So yeah, that's I highly recommend going into the Den and just putting your feet up and enjoying.
Gotta enter the Den.
Really, some really stupid movies sometimes. Anyway,
it's long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 220.
Yeah,
but like Heat is like 3.
Well, yeah, but it's one of the great films.
Yeah, Heat rules. But like, if you want your little Heat fix or whatever, watch that. You know what I mean? Or watch Heat.
You think Heat 2 is ever going to come out?
Yeah, but I think it's going to come out, and I'm excited for it, but I'm also not excited for it.
I've been saying the whole time it's never going to actually happen.
When it happens, what are you going to do?
I'll watch it and probably love it.
Yeah? Like you like Ferrari?
It's Michael Mann.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ferrari rules.
Do you forgive Michael Mann even for like the movies that people think are lesser? Because he just works on a level that you love the most?
What movies are lesser?
I mean, people don't like Public Enemies. People don't like...
Oh, Public Enemies rocks the freaking house.
See what I'm saying?
Okay?
See what I'm saying?
You Black Hat fan?
Black Hat.
Oh, Black Hat rules.
One of the best movies of the 2010s.
And I really did love Ferrari. No, I'm not. Listen, Jay, I love
Ollie's
Michael Mann
okay.
as well.
Dancing with Wolves, I don't love.
Dances with Wolves?
No, not Dances with Wolves. What am I?
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
You don't like Last of the Mohicans?
I like it fine, but it's not one of my mans.
One of your mans?
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to do that series down the road.
That would rock.
That would be a great series. Next week, we will be back. We'll be talking about the second and last episode of this series already. That's crazy. We are going to be talking about Closer. We're going to get a little closer.
It's going to bring us one episode closer to the finale.
Oh, God damn it. All right. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you once again, Ben. And we will see you all next time.